Number 10. Abigail White. There are some people in this world that are born completely without shame. One of them is an English woman named Abigail White. In March 2022, she brutally murdered 22-year-old Bradley Lewis when he tried breaking up with her. Abigail has long blonde hair, lip filler, and a large chest, which has led many to describe her as a knockoff Barbie of sorts. She made a decent living as an OnlyFans model, uploading explicit photographs and content to the site in exchange for money. Before Bradley's death, he and Abigail were seen together at a bar in a heated argument. Apparently, the woman threw her drink in her boyfriend's face and even told him he was dead. Once back at their shared home in Kingswood, the couple continued their fight over whether or not they should separate. At some point, Abigail grabbed a kitchen knife that measured 6.7 inches long and plunged it into her lover's back. Once confronted by police, she told them that she never meant to kill Bradley. She instead said that she only wanted to scare him. All of this came after she originally told law enforcement that the victim had hurt himself with the knife. 1 year after the murder, Abigail made headlines again after requesting conjugal visits to prison. The killer said that she was speaking on behalf of all the prisoners, while asking for men and women to be able to have overnight stays together. After killing her boyfriend and being found guilty, Abigail had the audacity to make such a request. It seems like she doesn't understand the concept of her 18-year minimum prison sentence and punishment. And did we mention she had 3 kids with Bradley as well, meaning she not only killed her boyfriend, but the father of her children. Number 9. BELLAMY. Breakups are difficult for anyone involved, whether you're the person ending the relationship or the one getting your heart broken. There are mature ways to handle it, but there's also the way that 44-year-old BELLAMY handled it. On New Year's Day in 2017, the Milwaukee resident stormed into her ex-boyfriend's home. 42-year-old Elandis Johnson was spending the holiday with his new girlfriend, and Anne wasn't happy about it. She and Elandis had a long relationship and raised 4 children together. For the man to throw all of that history away and move on so quickly was despicable in Anne's mind. So she decided to take justice into her own hands. After breaking into his home, Anne shot Elandis. The bullet hit him straight in the eye, killing him instantly. About an hour or so after the attack, the victim's new girlfriend discovered his dead body and called 911. It didn't take long for police to arrest Anne and charge her for the murder. She was found guilty in 2019 and was given 20 years in prison. With no previous charges on her criminal record, Anne was given a less severe sentence. On top of the 20 years, she was also ordered to pay the victim's family about $20,000. Number 8. James DUTTER. As the saying goes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But unfortunately for one woman, her Sin City sin wasn't left behind. Instead, 41-year-old Maylene Doppert was arrested after her breakup with 42-year-old James DUTTER went wrong. She didn't take the news well when James tried to end their relationship. Actually, Maylene got in her car and stepped on the gas pedal. She ran straight over James, who was helpless, unable to get out of the way. When paramedics got to the scene, he told them what his girlfriend had done. The medical professionals treated severe lacerations on the man's head, arms, and hip. Before their breakup disaster, Maylene and James had only been together for a few months. They made a quick decision to move into an apartment together despite this. Around 9 p.m. one night in November 2020, Maylene caught her boyfriend moving his stuff into his vehicle. She then confronted him, which led to a fight over their breakup. Maylene also accused James of stealing some of her stuff, but he insisted he didn't. When she ran over him with her Mitsubishi, James flew up into the air before harshly landing on top of another car nearby. At first, he couldn't move a muscle and felt like he couldn't breathe. Not long after, he passed out due to severe blunt force injuries. Maylene has since been found guilty of murder and faces decades behind bars for what she did. Number 7. Bradshaw. Some people can't handle the thought of their lover being with anyone else, so instead of simply breaking up when things aren't working out, they resort to brutal violence. And that's exactly what happened in Taylor, Michigan, with 21-year-old Nate Jackson. In February 2023, officers were called to Nate's home, which he shared with his 23-year-old girlfriend, Bradshaw. Once inside, they discovered a horrific scene and 2 dead bodies. Amber had apparently told Nate that she wanted to break up that night, and he wasn't happy. Before speaking with him, the young woman asked others at the property to leave so they could talk in private. This was a mistake that costed her life. Soon after being left alone together, gunshots were heard from inside. First responders discovered that Amber and Nate were dead. After shooting his girlfriend, Nate took his own life. He apparently believed that there was no reason for him to be alive after hurting his lover. The man had no criminal record, so his actions seemed very out of character. Luckily, Amber's son wasn't at home during the incident and was left unharmed. Number 6. JAZLENE Jones. Everyone remembers their first love. Whether they look back on those moments with fondness or hatred depends on the person though. Having such an intense connection at a young age can be dangerous. For 14-year-old Ilya Olsen, his love for JAZLENE Jones was intense. So, when the girlfriend tried to break up with him, the whole world turned upside down. The young couple were walking down some railroad tracks to smoke one day in January 2023 when 14-year-old JAZLENE told Ilya that she no longer wanted to be with him. As soon as she broke the news, Ilya freaked out, ordering her to turn off her phone and hand it to him. When she did, the angry teenager threw it to the side of the tracks as he held up a gun to JAZLENE's head and pulled the trigger. It's believed the victim survived the first shot and begged her boyfriend to spare her life. Instead, Ilya fired more bullets at her. Luckily, she had enough strength to run away and get the attention of a driver on a nearby road. JAZLENE was quickly taken to the hospital where she informed authorities of who'd hurt her. She had to undergo multiple surgeries since one bullet went through her cheekbone before stopping near her artery. It's expected that the teen will survive though. Meanwhile, Ilya posted about the shooting on his Snapchat, prompting police officers to drive to his house and arrest him. They found the weapon, bullets, and bloody clothing in his room. This case is ongoing, so we'll have to wait and see what becomes of Ilya in the coming months. How do you think Ilya should be punished for attempted murder? Let us know your opinion in the comments down below, and if you like the video so far, subscribe to join the Badger fam. Number 5. Lynn and You. It can be difficult to end a relationship at times. That's why more and more people have started ghosting their significant others or romantic partners instead of doing the dirty work of breaking their hearts in person. If you aren't familiar, this refers to cutting all contact with someone without any explanation. In 2019, one Chinese woman took ghosting to a whole new level when she faked being kidnapped and murdered in order to break up with her lover. The 37-year-old Wuhan woman, who's only been referred to as Yu, was arrested for fraud after making it seem like her ex-husband had abducted and killed her. She did this because she believed her boyfriend Lin wasn't good enough in terms of finances. At the start of their relationship, Yu had no idea that Lin wasn't well off. It wasn't until she went to his house for the first time to celebrate the Chinese New Year that she realized he was poor. After thinking it over for some time, Yu decided that she had to cut things off with Lin. She sent him a text message saying that her ex had kidnapped her and she needed to be saved. Rightfully scared for his lover, Lin contacted the police and they realized that it was all a lie. Yu was arrested under charges of disrupting social order. It's unclear if she received prison time, but she did have to stay in the custody of law enforcement for 10 days. Number 4. Lazarus Carrillo. In January 2023, a teenager from San Antonio, Texas, killed both his ex-girlfriend and a close friend of hers after she ended their relationship. The 18-year-old suspect, Lazarus Carrillo, murdered 25-year-old Elisa Nicole Perez and 32-year-old Edward Acosta Jimenez as they were sitting inside a car. Luckily, the incident was captured by nearby surveillance cameras. In the recovered videos, a man resembling Lazarus was caught walking away from the crime scene. According to the victim's family, the young couple had recently broke up about a week before the shooting. It was reported that the suspect fired a few bullets at Alyssa during this time, but she was remarkably left uninjured. A few hours after the bodies were discovered, an attempted carjacking was reported near the crime scene. A man dialed 911 after he was held up at gunpoint. It's believed that the person responsible for this was Lazarus. He only walked away from the man when a witness came into view. Officers later arrested Lazarus and found him carrying Alyssa's cell phone. He was also in possession of her debit and social security cards. While the case is ongoing, the suspect has been charged with capital murder and will likely be found guilty considering the overwhelming amount of evidence piled against him. Number 3. Tanner Flores. If you learn anything from today's video, it should be to take caution when approaching a breakup. You never know how someone is going to react, so you should break the news to them in a public place for your own safety. Sadly, a teenager from Colorado took the life of his ex-girlfriend after not being able to cope with their breakup. The 18-year-olds, Ashley Doolittle and Tanner Flores, had been dating for over a year before ending things, which is a long time when you're that young. Afterward, Tanner's friends claim he was acting strange. In 2016, the boy lured Ashley to Carter Lake. He likely told her that he wanted to talk things out and get closure, but his true intentions were far more sinister. Once they were alone together, Tanner shot Ashley in the head and cleaned up her dead body. Then he shoved her in the back of his car before heading on a 5-hour drive through the mountains. The victim's parents got worried when they couldn't reach her, so they called 911. Tanner's dad also reported him missing and told detectives that one of his guns from his locked cabinet was gone. This instantly raised alarms, prompting a major search effort for the two teens. Once Tanner was found, he quickly admitted to the murder. His plans of going to Colorado State University fell through as he realized his future would be spent behind prison bars. The young man was charged with kidnapping and first-degree murder. The judge and jury found him guilty in 2017, and he was handed a life sentence for the death of Ashley Doolittle. Number 2. Melanie Eam. Most killers try to run away from their mistakes, or at the very least, they act like they weren't responsible. The same was true for 20-year-old Melanie Eam, who killed her ex-boyfriend in 2016. Those who knew the couple claim that Melanie and 21-year-old James Barry had an extremely difficult breakup. The man broke up with her in a video game chat, saying that for the last few months he hadn't loved her. In fact, it was so bad that Melanie then decided to break into her ex's house in Florida. Once inside, she grabbed a knife and stabbed the man to death. After realizing what she'd done, the young woman hopped in her car and started driving. The victim's mother and close friend were at the home that night and walked in to see James bleeding out. They did everything they could to save him, but it was already too late. Melanie had stabbed him in the chest 7 times. She fled about 1,000 miles north until she was stopped by police officers in Silver Spring, Maryland. There was a warrant put out for her arrest after James's body was discovered. Melanie was found guilty and was handed a 50-year prison sentence for the murder. While we can understand her anger after being broken up within a video game, there's no justifying her violent actions. Number 1. Aaron Clark. When a relationship comes to an end, the families of those involved often have to provide support and comfort. Sadly, for one Philadelphia family whose daughter Amira Rogers had recently broken up with 30-year-old Aaron Clark, their involvement was fatal. On December 4th, 2022, after his girlfriend ended things for good, Aaron decided to get revenge. So he broke into the woman's house and lit a fire. At the time, his ex wasn't at the property, but her little sister, Olivia Brashaw, was. The 20-year-old sister suffered from cerebral palsy, which forced her to use a wheelchair. When the flames erupted, she was helpless and unable to escape. Aaron apparently sent several texts to Amira before lighting the fire. He claimed that he was going to post her nude pictures online and even said, "Pick up before I do something crazy. Hope you don't miss the show." Security footage of him walking away from Amira's burning house was later discovered. When officers tried to arrest him, he spat at them and resisted. When he was finally placed in police custody, he was charged with murder and several offenses related to the fire. This case remains ongoing though, so the outcome isn't clear yet. What's your worst breakup story? Let us know in the comments and subscribe if you liked what you saw. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger. Bye for now.